Welcome to this week's episode of Reverence for Reverie. I'm Marrissa, your host, and today's topic feels so close to my heart right now. It is so vital to the future that we're building together. And that is creativity as a leadership technology. So this is a deep invitation, a call into the raw, alive edge of what we call leadership. And this is not the leadership that's taught in books or carved through performance, but the kind that's rooted in intimacy with the unknown. It's the kind that rises from coherence and not control, from creativity. So if you're here, it's because some part of you knows that the old forms no longer hold. That survival-based leadership that is driven by output and efficiency and dominance is cracking. And that something more honest, more feral, more sovereign is trying to come through. We're often taught that leadership is about management, strategy, metrics, optimization. But today, I want to offer something different. And that's the idea that creativity, not efficiency, not control, is the true operating system of soul-led leadership. Creativity operates more like a quantum field than a straight line. It's nonlinear, multidimensional, and alive. And in every moment that we choose to create, we are collapsing new possibilities into reality, not by force, but by resonance. So this is an invitation to reframe creativity not as a luxury, not as something reserved for artists or dreamers, but as a living, breathing technology, an ancient and necessary intelligence that makes leadership not only sustainable, but regenerative. So let's explore together. I want to start here. It's a reiteration of what I've just said. Leadership is not a title. It's not something you step into once you're finally confident or credentialed or chosen. Leadership, as I experience it now, is what happens when you become deeply attuned to your own inner field and are willing to be shaped by what you find there. It's less about knowing what to do and more about cultivating the capacity to stay with the unknown long enough that something new can emerge. And that emergence, that aliveness, is creativity. Somewhere along the way, many of us have internalized the belief that creativity is optional. It's been named as a luxury. I guess I should say it's been misnamed as a luxury, or as a soft skill, a bonus, a weekend hobby, a frivolous indulgence that is reserved for the poets, painters, and the artsy ones. But I believe it is one of the most essential capacities of a leader in this moment of rupture, unraveling, and reimagining that we are all collectively experiencing on some level. Creativity is a biological function. It is as natural and as necessary as breathing. Creativity is how we adapt. It's how we solve problems. It is how we envision futures that don't yet exist, and how we heal, how we play, how we survive. Because creativity isn't just about making things, it's about listening differently, relating differently, letting go of the predetermined map so that you can follow the thread of something real. Creativity in this sense is not recreational, it's relational. It's your nervous system whispering the truth before your ego can shut it down. It is the body offering images, urges, colors, shapes, when language has been too colonized to carry the fullness of your knowing. In leadership, creativity is not a soft skill. It is the source code for innovation, resilience, emotional intelligence, and authentic influence. In psychoanalysis, we understand that the unconscious is not merely a place of wounds, it is also the wellspring of our deepest creative instincts. True creativity doesn't come from the surface self. It rises from the hidden, dreaming parts of us that generate life itself. In other words, reverie. In the old leadership model, the emphasis was on control. Control the system, control the people, control the outcome, control yourself. But control is a closed circuit. It suffocates creativity. It narrows possibility. It leads to stagnation, rigidity, exhaustion, and disconnection. The new model of leadership, the one we're being called into, is dynamic. It is alive. It is responsive. It requires leaders who can sense, create, and evolve in real time. Creativity isn't just a nice flourish in this new model. It is the technology that is making evolution possible, and it is what allows leaders to shape the future, not just react to the present. So, when I say tending the wild field of creativity, I'm not just talking about painting, songwriting, or traditional art forms, though those are beautiful and necessary expressions as well. But I'm talking about something broader, deeper. I'm talking about the space within you that refuses to be domesticated. The parts that don't respond to deadlines, hustle, or 10-step plans. The internal soil that grows insight sideways through dreams, symbols, movement, sound. We have been taught to silence that field, to tame it, to pathologize it when it doesn't conform. But I believe it holds the key, not just to our own healing, but to the evolution of leadership itself. Because when you lead from the wild field, you stop parroting what's already been said. You stop replicating these blueprints that were never even made for you. You begin to lead from your aliveness, from felt sense, from an authority that cannot be faked because it comes from communion with yourself, not performance. Creativity in its fullness is visioning solutions that no one else sees, reimagining what's possible when everyone else says that's impossible. It's turning limitations into launch pads, allowing complexity to be a canvas and not a cage, and making decisions from imagination, not just fear or habit. Creativity is the soul's problem-solving language. It is our direct access point to innovation and integrity. Every leader is a creator, whether they recognize it or not. And in this era, we are being called back to our mythic selves, the ones who weave new worlds from the threads of imagination. Here's the truth that I keep coming back to. You cannot access the wild field if you're still trying to be good. Good for the algorithm, good for your niche, good for capitalism, good for your lineage, your ancestors. You have to be willing to get a little feral, to lose coherence with the systems that fed you in order to come into coherence with the frequency that formed you. And this is not about being reckless. It is about being rooted so deeply in yourself that the soil of your own becoming is the source of your offerings. You stop asking, what do they want from me? And instead you begin to ask, what wants to move through me now? That is where leadership begins. When leaders engage their creativity, something magical begins to happen. Energy moves, possibility opens, solutions emerge that were invisible before. Creativity in leadership generates energy instead of depleting it. It shifts the dynamic from control to collaboration, from burnout to regenerative momentum. We stop asking, how do I fix this? And we start asking, what wants to emerge here? When creativity is suppressed, leadership becomes rigid, brittle, defensive. When creativity is honored, leadership becomes a dance, fluid, alive, adaptive. Leadership through creativity is not a fixed architecture. It is a living ecosystem, constantly breathing, growing, and reshaping itself. Now, I realize that this might feel risky to shift your relationship to leadership when the rest of the world is not there yet. So let's talk about risk. Because if we are completely honest, creativity always carries it. To follow the creative thread is to relinquish the illusion of control, to let go of timelines, roles, and sometimes even identities. This past season, I've felt this risk landing in my own body. The edges of my leadership, both of myself and of others, are being rewritten. And not just through branding or planning, although there is some of that, and I'm sure some of you are seeing that, but is through surrender. And the deeper I go, the clearer it becomes. There is a truth that I must mention here as a therapist, that this is one of the very first lessons I learned and quote often to those I mentor. I cannot lead anyone anywhere that I'm not willing to go first. I can only take others as far as I have gone within myself. And in that sense, as I share this message with you, I want you to know that the wild field is initiating me too. So if you're feeling disoriented, if you're creating work that no longer fits into tidy containers, if your old strategies are crumbling, you're not lost. You're on the threshold. Stay with it. The world does not need more leaders who know how to manage. It needs leaders who can midwife the unseen, who can sit with ambiguity, who can speak from the poetic, the intuitive, the sacred, who aren't afraid to be reshaped by what they serve. Because that's what creativity does. It reshapes us. It softens the part of us that was hardened by survival. It roots us in mystery. It asks for our devotion, not our domination. And in return, it gives us access to deeper truths, to unseen futures, and to more authentic connection. So, how do we as soul-led leaders cultivate creativity as a real living practice? Here are a few invitations that I have for you. Number one is prioritize play. Creativity thrives in play. Take walks, doodle, move your body, dance. Let yourself be messy and experimental, even in work contexts. Slow down. Creativity needs breathing space, and speed and urgency kill innovation. Create space between stimulus and response, and see what shows up there. Next is ask better questions. Trade your judgment for curiosity. Instead of what's wrong, ask what's possible here. Instead of how do I control this, ask how do I create with this? Embrace your imperfection. Creativity is messy by nature. Let yourself be a beginner. There is so much ego strength, or in other words, psychic sturdiness, when we are willing to inhabit a beginner's mind. Let iteration be your friend. Next is nurture emotional sovereignty. Creativity requires emotional spaciousness. And when you're trapped in reactivity, survival, or shame, your creative channels constrict. Self-regulation and compassion reopen them. So be gentle with yourself and with your process. Finally, trust emergence. Leadership creativity isn't about forcing outcomes. It is about stewarding possibilities and trusting that clarity will come. And clarity only comes when we take action. So let yourself move. Creativity does not demand perfection. It demands presence. It demands trust in the unknown. I want you to pause with me for a moment. Let's just take a breath together. And ask yourself gently, maybe pull out your journal if you have the space. Where am I suppressing creativity in my leadership or in my life? Where am I craving more freedom, more imagination, more soul? Where is a new vision trying to emerge through me if only I would make space for it? You are not just leading projects, you are leading energies, possibilities, futures, and creativity. Wild, sacred, intuitive creativity is your most powerful technology for the world that you are meant to help bring to life. I'm going to say this again. The world does not need more leaders who can execute old systems more efficiently. The world needs creators, dreamers, builders of the new. And you're not meant to simply manage reality, you're meant to reimagine it. Creativity is not a luxury. It is your birthright. It is your power. It is your offering to a world that is in metamorphosis. Trust your imagination. Trust your resonance. Trust the living intelligence that is moving through you. Because the future does not belong to the ones who control it. It belongs to the ones who dare to create it. So this is your reminder. Your creativity is not indulgent. It is infrastructure. It is initiation. The poem, the journal, the sketch, the tears that come without reason, these are not distractions from leadership. They are leadership because they are the places where the new arrives. Tend them. Tend yourself. You don't need a rebrand. You need to remember. You don't need to go viral. You need to go inward to the place that still believes in wonder, in rhythm, in truth that doesn't always make sense, but always rings clear. This is how we become leaders of resonance, not because we shout louder, but because we become more attuned to life, to the field, to what wants to be born through us. Thank you, thank you, thank you for walking with me today into the wild. If this conversation has stirred something awake in you, let it echo, let it compost. And when you're ready, create something from it maybe, even if no one sees it, even if it's just for you. Because the wild field responds to presence, and you're not alone in yours. And if you want to share, I would love to hear what visions, creative sparks are rising within you. You can find me on Instagram at iam.marrissa.rhodes. And until next time, lead with imagination, create with your soul, and of course, let the reverie lead you.